Hello and welcome to my new viewers, and welcome back to my subscribers. This is Susan So Creative, where it's only wrong when it doesn't work. I'm Susan Anderson, and today's video we will be using the multi-clamshell ruler and some of the fun techniques and designs you can create with it. This is what our panel will look like when we get finished. We're doing a flower design on the one side. We're going to do a petal pattern. And then we're doing a vine with leaves for the last design. So this is our 4-inch, this is our 3-inch, and this is our 2-inch side. So we're doing 3 of the 4 sides. So once I've got my 3 lines or 4 lines on this side and then my star pattern over here, I'm ready to take it to the machine. Now at my machine, I've gone ahead and attached my ruler foot. Check with your dealer if your machine doesn't come with one, so you make sure you get the correct ruler foot for your particular machine make and model. I also have my straight stitch plate on. So I will be using either a red or purple needle. This is a 14. Or a, say, 90 if you're using a European number on the machine. Now to get started with my star pattern, the first thing I'm going to do is bring my needle down to the center just to lock that in position, and I'm going to use my number 4 edge, my 4-inch edge, and I'm going to set this so the corner goes into my presser foot. And I'm going to line the straight line up to the line that is coming directly toward me, and I'm going to stitch out around here till I get to the line that is at the end of my ruler, and I'll stop. So you can see. I'm going to get out to the white line and I'm going to stop, just like so. Now, in order to get the other half of my petal, I'm going to place the center mark against my presser foot and the straight line on my 4-inch on the vertical line on my flower, and the second solid line on my 1.5-inch side on the horizontal line going out. This is going to make sure that my presser foot my ruler is properly placed so that I get it all the way around my design area. Now this ruler is a little on the thicker side, so it may have trouble going underneath the presser foot, so I'll make sure I keep the ruler always to the front. And we're just going to go ahead and stitch this right around like so, and bring it right down into the center of my flower and stop. And you're going to want to have the needle down when you're doing all of these free motion designs. To get my top vertical petal, I'm going to work with the line that I just did the petal on to go with the straight line on my ruler. So I'm going to place that like so, right along the center of that. Turn this because of the ruler's a little thick, can't quite get against it. All right, just like so. Okay, and so that's going right along that line. And that's going to give me my outside edge to this petal. Yeah. So I'm going to just stitch right along the edge, all the way up to the line. Okay, looks like I got a couple more stitches to go. There we go. So I have that second line there. To get the other side, this straight line again on the ruler is going to go onto this 45-degree angle here. And my straight line, my second straight line on my 1.5 side is going to go onto this 45 here. And there we go. Again, line here and the line here, and we're just going to follow the edge of the ruler right around the side, right back down to the center of the design, and stop with the needle down. And you can see how that's going to make my individual petals. You can see how that's going to make my individual petals. Then I continue around. Now I'm using a contrasting thread. I just decided to use white so you could see it. You could use a matching thread for this. That would be fine as well. Just make sure you do the bobbin in the same thread that you've got in the needle. So we could continue around and do that. In order to do the vine part of my design, I'm going to use the 3-inch side of my clamshell, and I'm going to take a piece of pink embroidery tape. This is just tape that doesn't leave a residue on your fabric. You could use masking tape too. And I'm going to center it over this one line, like so. Just like that, okay? It doesn't have to be in one particular place. It could be anywhere you like. And we're going to do these 3 lines and create a vine pattern, okay? The vine pattern with leaves. To do that, the first thing I'm going to do is create my first vine, and I'm going to do that by placing my pink tape right along my center line, and I'm going to bring my machine up. Let's get that clipped off a little bit better. Same thing with this. Okay. So that's going to give me the depth of my clamshell to get my oscillating or my vine center line part. So I'm going to start here on my center line, pull my bobbin thread to the surface, and my tweezers, here they are, get that pulled up like so. And I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to stop right here at that center mark. It'll be up on the outside edge of my line that I have here. I'm going to stop right there at the center line. Then I'm going to rock this around. This is going to create my petal. Okay, and I'm going to move this so it goes right up to this, the third line. That's where I'm going to head now to get to my petal, the point of my petal. Like so. Then I'm going to come back this way to get my other petal, and I've actually got it so my 45-degree line is going to come right back to this line up here where I have my other marking stopped, and I want to make sure I've got about a 45, or I've got at least a 1/4 inch So I can stop right there. Gotta do one more stitch. There we are. And then I'm going to come back around and finish my vine. Remember, that was at the top where that was. And I got my pink line on my pink tape right on my center line. And I'm going to come back down to the center line. Like so. So I've stopped at my center line. Now I want to get the other curve on my vine to come back around. So I'm going to use my pink tape along the center line. Put that right up against my machine presser foot. And we're just going to stitch so I get right to the center line again. Well, actually I'm going to stitch to, okay, so I've got this right up against my presser foot. And I'm going to stitch right along the outside until I get to that top center line on my ruler. Just like so. And stop when we get right to that center line. Now we're going to make a leaf going the other direction. And I want to come down to the point on this bottom line. And the way I've got it done is I'm just running the ruler so it's parallel on that 45-degree angle. You could choose to set it up a different way. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to walk this right around like so and take it all the way down to that line. Then swing it back around. And I want this to come in, so I'm going to hit that line again. So I want to make sure I'm about 1/4 inch away. So I'm going to move that over like so. And we're just going to stitch right around the edge of this to get right to that leaf, like so. And then we're going to finish that second part of the vine. So I'm going to go back to my pink line going along my center line here. And we're starting with the center mark right where my presser foot is. And we're going to stop on that center mark when we come down here. So we're going to stop on that center line that we traced before. And like so, one more stitch. There we go. So I've got it stopped. So there is how we create our vine with our leaves. The last thing I have to do are my petals that are going to go along this last line. And that's done with the number 2. And this is a real fun one. It's more of an optical illusion than it is anything else. That first solid center line or top line of that scallop is going to go right on my traced line. And we're going to start right in the corner like this. And I'm going to have the ruler in front of me the whole time. We're going to take one stitch stop. Make sure that lines up. Okay. One stitch stop. Bring my bobbin thread to the surface. Come back in. Let's see if you can get that so you can see it a little bit better. Here we go. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to stop right here against the ruler. Which takes me right to my line. Now I'm going to move my ruler around to this side using my line. There we had one more stitch to go. Using my first line along the line that I've drawn, and I'm going to do another loop around and stop. Move it along. Still keeping that solid line along the line that I've drawn. Get that right close. There we go. and stop. And stop. Looks like I'm not going to get a whole one out of here, but that's okay. Okay, so there's our first pass. Now to do our second pass, we're just going to turn the fabric completely around. I'm going to this time put the center mark of my 2-inch at the point, okay, at the point of my design, at the point of my first line of scallops, and the solid line is going to go at the very top of the scallops that I did before. It's going to come back down here, and I'm just going to rock my needle down so it should be right in the top of that line of scallops. Okay, and we're just going to move this around like so. Bring it back down this side and stop at the scallop. And you can see now where I'm making those petals come through. So I've got one petal here and one petal here. So we're actually just dividing the previous line of scallops. Right up across the top and come back down this side and stop. That gives us our whole row of petals as well. Now all we're going to do is trim up the edges and make them nice and straight. Do our zipper and our side seams. And there's my zippered bag. Now I've chose not to finish off the corners and square them up simply because this makes this bag a perfect size to store my ruler. So I've got a perfect place to store my ruler, and I know exactly what I can do with it. And my ruler's ready to travel with me to class. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to take your machine model number with you and check your local dealer for any additional accessories, including the multi-clamshell ruler. I'm Susan Anderson, and I'll see you next time on Susan So Creative, where it's only wrong when it doesn't work.